Namaste children, and welcome back to your next session of EVS 1 with Abha ma'am. I hope you all are fine and doing well. And if you remember, what had we started last week? Yes, last week we had started with the chapter Food and Health. And what were the points we had covered from this chapter? Yes, we had covered components of food and we had covered balanced diet. And today what are we going to do? We are going to do diseases today. Right? So let's start with this chapter. Learning objective 3, diseases. Before we go on to understand what is disease, we have to understand the meaning of the term health. Health is defined as a state of complete physical and mental well-being. That means my physical body is also fine. Well-being means it is well and in good condition, and even my mind or my brain is also in perfect condition, no problems at all, working perfectly fine. When both are working perfectly fine, we say we are healthy. So health is a state of being healthy or a state of complete physical and mental well-being. Yes. And the term disease, what does the term disease mean? A disease is a state where the body and or the mind are not in a healthy condition. That means either the body or the mind or both, they have a problem. They are not working in the normal way, the normal method in which the body should work. It is not working like that, or the mind is not working like that. Then we say we have a disease. Yes. Okay. So now today we'll discuss two types of diseases. The types of diseases we will discuss today are the communicable diseases and the non-communicable diseases. So first of all, the communicable diseases. So when we say communicable diseases, what does it mean? When I'm talking to you, I communicate with you. When two people interact with each other, it is called a communication. That means two people are required. The communication could be verbal, could be by touch, by eyes, by expressions, but we interact with each other. So when two people interact with each other and one person passes on the disease to the other person, we call it a communicable disease. Diseases that can be passed from an infected person to a healthy person are called communicable diseases. And what are non-communicable diseases? The diseases that cannot be passed from one person to another person are called non-communicable diseases. I'll give you a very small example. Let's say you've got a cough and cold and you sit with your friend and you start coughing. There are chances you will transmit the germs to the other person and he will also get a cough, right? But in case you have a headache, let's say, and you go and sit in next to your friend, will your friend catch the headache from you? No, because it is not a communicable disease, or it is a non-communicable disease. Going further with communicable diseases, a disease that can be passed from an infected person to a healthy person, we've already discussed. Next is, such diseases are caused by microbes such as bacteria, virus, fungi and protozoa. So we learned these in class 4 when we were doing the chapter on teeth, where we learned what are the various microorganisms, and the 4 types were bacteria, virus, fungi and protozoa, and the microbes that cause diseases are called germs. Microbes because they are very small, microorganisms, short from being microbes, and those which cause diseases are called germs. Germs can enter a person's body through contact with an infected person and or contaminated air, food and water. Now there are two terms, new terms we've learned here. One being infected, one being contaminated. Infected means a person suffering from a disease caused by microbes. The person is infected with that microbe. And contaminated means made impure or polluted by the addition of harmful substances or microbes. So the germs can enter a body through contact with an infected person. When I come in contact with an infected person, I can catch the disease. Also, if I touch a substance touched by that person, could be air, food or water, I could get the infection. For example, somebody sitting next to me sneezes and they pass on the germs into the air and I breathe in that air, I can get the disease. Or somebody put their hand into the water and drank the water, and then I drink that water, the infection from the hands could come to me. So that is how, when the contaminated food, air or water we consume or we take in, we can get the disease. Insects such as flies and mosquitoes also spread disease-causing germs, right? Mosquitoes, they bite you, you get a disease called malaria, dengue, chikungunya. And flies, they sit on dirty things and then they come and sit on your food, they bring the infection into your food and you can catch the infection or the disease from the flies. Next is prevention of communicable diseases. How can we prevent the spread of communicable diseases? Prevention is better than cure, as the saying is very aptly said. It's better not to get the disease than to go in and get a treatment, like which is very prevalent these days due to COVID-19. We are sitting at home, not coming to school. We are not, parents are going with a lot of precautions to office if they are going, because we want to prevent getting the disease rather than going in for a treatment. So prevention is better than cure. Maintaining good hygiene and keeping the surroundings clean play a very important role in preventing the disease. Keeping cleanliness around you, not letting the infecting germs come near your house, come close to your place, that is how you can reduce the chances of catching the illness. If you have dirty water around you and you let the mosquitoes grow over there, then what will happen? You will surely catch malaria, because the mosquitoes will breed in that water, then they'll come and sit on you and bite you, so you can get the disease. That is why we keep a clean surrounding, right? So hygiene means to maintain cleanliness from germs and dirt. Vaccination is used for the prevention of diseases. Now, when you are born, the day you are born, from there to age of 12 to 14 years, you are getting different vaccinations done. So the vaccination is done to prevent the disease. So what is vaccination? Yes. What is vaccination? Vaccination is the process of using substances called vaccines for the prevention of diseases. Now, what are vaccines? Vaccines are a substance containing a very small amount of germs that cause a disease, right? And it is given to a person to prevent them from getting the disease. We give it to the person. That means I'm giving the germs to the person so that he does not catch the disease. Kind of difficult to understand. I will explain this to you. Vaccination protects a person by not allowing the germs to multiply in the body. The germs can enter the body, but my body will not let them grow in number. Multiply means grow in number, and not allow me to fall ill. And many communicable diseases can be prevented by the use of vaccines at the right time. Now, let's go ahead and I'll explain how does a vaccine work. See, basically the vaccine works on the concept of memory or remembering, right? Let's say there is a war going on, right? And the enemy attacks me, right? Now, I do not know how the enemy will attack me. They're going to use guns, they're going to use bow and arrow, they're going to use a missile. What are they going to use? I do not know. So I have to keep a kind of a preparation for everything, right? But then I come to know, okay, this enemy always comes and hits me with a missile, or this specific enemy always comes with bows and arrows. So if I take a shield, I will be able to protect myself, but the one who comes with a missile, I cannot protect myself with a shield, right? Then I need some other method of protection, maybe a bunker or something else. So keeping in mind, knowing the mechanism of how the enemy is going to attack me, my preparation is better when I know how the enemy will attack me. But the first time the enemy attacks me, I do not know how the enemy is going to attack me. But the second time, I know, yes, this enemy attacks like this and this is my line of defense. This is what I have to do. Similarly, my body also needs a line of defense. It needs to know which microorganism on entering the body does this kind of a damage and I need to respond like this. Yes, so keeping this in mind, what happens is we give a small amount of the disease causing germ into the body, which is the vaccine. Now when that germ goes into the body, it will start spreading, trying to spread the disease in my body, and my body will learn how this germs works and what my body has to do to fight this germ. to not allow it to grow in number in my body and make me sick. Since the number is so small, I cannot fall sick, right? But my body learns how to handle it. So actually, when there is an attack by that microorganism, maybe a virus or a bacteria or a protozoa or a fungi, my body knows how to react, and my reaction time is much quicker and faster, due to which I can kill the enemy at the early stage when the numbers have not multiplied and I don't get the disease. So this is how my vaccination works. And that is why for every disease we have different vaccines. You have a different vaccine for polio, you have a different vaccine for measles, rubella, chickenpox. You have vaccines for every disease, and they're given to you in your body throughout the day you are born. The first vaccine you get is the polio vaccine, right? You will not get polio because of that, and it continues as booster doses till the age of 6 or 7. So all vaccines are given to you, and they prevent you from getting a lot of diseases, right? Okay, now we will learn about some communicable diseases, their symptoms and how they can be prevented. So the first one is flu. It is caused by a virus, and see, mainly symptoms are cough, cold like symptoms, sore throat, runny nose, difficulty in swallowing, fever, headache, cough and body ache. Yes. And what are the prevention or the cure for this? Well, take medicines, plenty of rest, plenty of fluids. See, he's drinking a lot of soup and maybe hot water and fluids, soup, etc. to reduce the chest congestion, and lots of fluids are also needed. Then cough drops, salt water gargling. These are some methods to protect from flu. Next is measles. In measles, it is caused by a virus. The symptoms are runny nose, fever, cough, redness in the eyes, rashes, weight loss. You can see rashes, these spots on this girl's face, right? And she has fever. She's checking her fever with a thermometer. So these are the symptoms of measles. And the prevention or cure is vaccination at an early age, at the right time. The vaccination is given, then you will not get it. And if you get it, then take plenty of fluids, bed rest and proper medication. Next is chickenpox. It is again caused by a virus. Symptoms are fever, headaches, sore throat, tiredness, rashes that dry up to form scars. Now if you see here, the rashes are slightly different from the ones of the measles. Here there is fluid filled in them, liquid filled in them, right? So what happens is these when they dry up, they leave patches or marks or scars on your skin. And prevention or cure is basically that vaccination at an early age, medicines, bed rest, and the rashes should not be scratched. When you scratch the rash, there's fluid inside. That fluid will spill out and spread to the areas around and spread the infection even more. And also when you scratch them, they will make deeper scars on your skin. That is why you should not scratch them. Chickenpox, generally in Hindi, in India we call it Mata. Yes, Mata nikli hai, right? Next is cholera. It is caused by a bacteria. Symptoms are vomiting, dehydration, diarrhea. Vomiting, you understand? Diarrhea is loose motions. See, he's catching his stomach. He wants to go to the washroom. And dehydration. When you lose, since it is loose motions, lot of water going into your stools and a lot of water going out through your vomits also. And since you're vomiting so much, even fluids which you are taking in do not stay in the body, and you could end up in dehydration. Dehydration means when there is a loss of fluids or liquids in the body, drying up of the body. Hydration means making wet. Dehydration will mean making dry. So the body becomes dry and loses water, and a person can die because of dehydration also. Prevention and cure: take medicines, drink lots of fluids, take rest. These are main. And of course, prevention would be to maintain hygiene around you so that the infection does not enter your body. Next is malaria. Malaria is caused by protozoa. Symptoms are fever, chills, sweats, headaches, vomiting and body ache. And prevention and cure: medicines to be taken on time, drip. The doctors put a drip of fluid into your body to replace the fluids which are lost from your body. Protect oneself from mosquito bites. This is the most important, which we generally do. We protect ourselves from mosquito bites. Next is typhoid. It is caused by bacteria. Its symptoms are headache, body ache, fever, diarrhea, right? And prevention and cure would be medicines to be taken on time, drips, boiled water, food without oil and spices, bed rest. Because here the stomach gets affected very easily, and spicy food and not boiled water or not clean water can lead to further damage to the body. Coming back to this slide, if you remember, we had this slide earlier. We have now covered the communicable diseases. We will now start with the non-communicable diseases. These are diseases that cannot spread from one person to another person. So non-communicable disease, a disease that cannot be passed from one person to another, is called a non-communicable disease. Such diseases are mainly caused by the deficiency of adequate amounts of nutrients in the diet. Hence, they are also called deficiency diseases. Deficiency, what does the word deficiency mean? A lack of something. किसी चीज़ की कमी हो जाना is called deficiency. So अगर मेरे बॉडी में किसी चीज़ की कमी हो जाएगी, like आयरन की कमी है, प्रोटीन्स की कमी है, फैट्स की कमी है और vitamins की कमी है, then when there's a deficiency of something inside my body will develop a disease. And since the disease is because of a deficiency, we also call them deficiency diseases. Now we will learn about some non-communicable diseases, their symptoms and how they can be prevented. So the first one is anemia. It is caused by the iron deficiency and its symptoms are weakness, fatigue, difficulty in breathing. Now if you look here, the number of red blood cells is much higher in the case of a normal person as compared to an anemic person. The number of RBCs or red blood cells is very low. That is why the skin appears pale. Also, the number being less, the oxygen supply also becomes less because the red blood cells carry oxygen to every part of the body. So since the number of cells is less, the amount of oxygen also becomes less. Therefore, I feel weakness. Fatigue means tiredness, difficulty in breathing. And the food sources for prevention are raisins, apricots, milk, meat, apples, green leafy vegetables like spinach, methi, etc. Next is night blindness. Night blindness is a disease which is not normal blindness. In this, what happens, the person can't see well in dim light or at night. Now if you see here, this is the normal vision, this is the night blindness vision. So a person would see, a normal person like you and me will see this, but a person with night blindness at night will see this, whereby he cannot see the cars, he cannot see the building, he cannot see the trees, he can just see a few bright spots, this bright spot, maybe this bright spot and two bright spots, and he can barely see, the rest is all dark. So this kind of a disease is called night blindness. It is caused by the deficiency of vitamin A. Symptoms are inability to see in poor light or at night, and food sources for prevention are carrots, sweet potato, animal liver, red capsicum, lettuce, etc. Mainly if you see all the orange red fruits and vegetables. Next is beriberi. It is caused by vitamin B1 deficiency. Like vitamin B is further divided into B1, B2, B3 and so on and so forth. There are lots of varieties in vitamin B. So lack of vitamin B1 causes beriberi. The symptoms are weight loss, weakness, low heartbeat, tiredness. Low heartbeat, tiredness. It affects the muscle formation, right? And the food sources for prevention are beans, cereals, peas. Cereals, by cereals we mean chawal, gehu, etc. That is cereals. So beans like your dal vagera. Your peas, fish, nuts, watermelon, etc. are good for vitamin B1. Next is scurvy. Scurvy is caused by the lack of vitamin C or deficiency of vitamin C. Symptoms are irritation, swelling of joints, bleeding gums. You can see the gums are bleeding and the joints become swollen. Food sources for prevention are guava, papaya, citrus fruits, tomatoes, grapes, berries, etc. Mostly the sour fruits, the citrus fruits are rich in vitamin C, and amla, the Indian amla or the gooseberry which we call, is a very good source of vitamin C. Next we come to rickets. Rickets is caused by the deficiency of vitamin D. The symptoms are softening and weakening of the bones, and since the bones become soft and weak, they tend to bend, because if let's say there's a thin stick standing like this and I put a lot of weight on it, what will happen? It will tend to bend here, there, somewhere. Yes, so what happens is the bones have become soft. Now whole body's weight is acting on top of it, so what will happen? The bones tend to bend. They can bend from here or from the knees outwards or from the knees inwards, and what happens ultimately is we call bow legs. See, they become like a bow and arrow bow. They get curved like a bow, and that is why it is called a bow leg also. The food sources for prevention are cod liver oil, fish, milk and dairy products, eggs, mushrooms, spinach, etc. And nature has provided not dietary but otherwise, sit in the sun, your body can make its own vitamin D, which is the best source of vitamin D for us. Next is goiter. Goiter is caused by the deficiency of a mineral called iodine. Symptoms are deafness, tiredness, weight gain, swelling in the neck. You can see the swelling in the neck. This is called the goiter, right? Food sources for prevention are iodized salt. You must have seen iodized salt. You get the salt you get, it is written over there, iodized salt. Milk, boiled eggs, strawberries, yogurt. Yogurt is dahi, curd, baked potatoes, etc. are good sources of iodine. Next is the kwashiorkor. The kwashiorkor is a disease caused by the deficiency of proteins in the body. Generally happens to children or families or people who live in areas where food is not easily available and they don't get a good balanced diet. Yes, generally happens in those areas. The symptoms are a bloated belly. Bloated means फूल जाना, पानी से या हवा से किसी चीज से it becomes big and large, then it is called a bloating. Right, so bloated belly, you can see how big the stomach of this baby has become. Bloated belly, slow growth, weakness, weak development of the limbs. Look at the limbs, they're so thin, hardly developed as compared to the rest of the body. Also see the hair becomes patchy, that is also a sign of kwashiorkor. Food sources for prevention are all food items which are rich in proteins like fish, eggs, meat, milk and other dairy products. Right? So, we have seen in this chapter how our food and our surroundings are responsible for our health and any disease we get. Our food, first of all, has to be balanced and good, and also the cleanliness around us or the environment around us affects our health and if any disease we are going to get. Our health and well-being is in our hands. We need to take a balanced diet to avoid deficiency diseases. We can avoid infections by maintaining hygiene, and timely vaccinations protect us from communicable diseases. Now there is one HOTS in your book on and it says, how can a person with a cold or flu avoid spreading germs? If I have a cold or flu, I sneeze, and when I sneeze, the particles all spread out in the air. So what are we told when we sneeze or cough? Cover your mouth when you sneeze or cough. The latest is cough into your elbow. Yes, this is the latest thing we've come into, because when you cough into your hands, you will touch something else and spread the infection. But when you cough into your elbow, you're not touching other things with your nook of your elbow. You hardly touch anything from this area. That is why the latest is now to cough and sneeze into your elbow, not into the air, not into your hands or palms. And if you use a tissue or hanky, dispose it quickly. Don't keep it around with you. If you sneeze into a hanky and keep the hanky in your hand, then the infection comes into your hand, right? So all these things are different things you can do to avoid spreading the germs. And if you see, most of these things apply to the current scenario, which is of again a respiratory disease, spreads through your nose and your mouth. When you sneeze, you speak, the virus spreads, right? So that was it for this chapter. Along with this link for this video, you will be getting some question answers. You will write them out in your notebooks. And once again, I hope you're doing your work regularly and studying regularly. And as it is, the schedule for your upcoming exams has also been sent to you along with the syllabus. So I hope you're preparing for your exams well. All the best for your exams also. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.